today. We're going to try it again today. Today. Okay, so we're just not acting right today. This is great. Please hold.
Of course.
I love modern technology. Just really chops my hide sometimes. All right. Maybe we'll do something different.
Okay.
Here we go. I love modern technology. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Content is Queen presents Leaders and Learners. And today we have an amazing leader in her industry. I met Miss Tiffany Yelverton of Enticeme about almost a year ago now. And she happens to be one of the only people on our My Morning Coffee podcast that left me speechless. I mean, that just does not happen. So, of course, you have to go back and look at that because she was dropping a few gems that I was not ready to pick up. Okay. So, without further ado, I want to introduce you and allow her to speak a little bit more about her business and what she does because it is absolutely amazing. And I'm almost sure that many of you have not utilized her services, which clearly leaves you behind in the, let's say, personal pleasure industry. So, without further ado, Miss Tiffany, go ahead and introduce yourself. Let the people know a little bit about you and how you are leading the way in your industry.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me. I'm Tiffany Yelverton, the founder of Enticeme. I'm a chief Sexanista and orgasm guru, and I help people have better sex and overcome image issues, and so that we can really close the pleasure gap between men and women, but also the pay gap.
Wait a minute. Did we talk about that last time? The pay gap, please.
So when we orgasm more, we can attract more people to us, and they'll pay us more money.
And where do you get that information from,
Oh,
ma'am?
there's all kinds of studies.
I am not studying the right stuff in life, okay? Do tell more.
So there are studies that when you orgasm more, especially through self-pleasure, it helps raise your confidence, because instead of the oxytocin binding you and connecting you with your partner, it creates self-love for you, because the oxytocin still is going through your system, and because you created the orgasm, it really helps with self-confidence. And when we have an orgasm, it actually blocks a pain receptor in our brain with testosterone, and then it allows us to do things that we wouldn't normally do, like ask for the raise we desire, get paid what we want, ask for those promotions, things like that.
Okay, so you said a couple of things that I'm sure many people might not affiliate with themselves. So women, how does testosterone apply to a woman trying to get a raise?
Well, when we have an orgasm, testosterone is released into the body. We have a balance of testosterone, estrogen, progesterone, and other hormones in our bodies. We just don't have the levels that men have, but we still have testosterone. It's responsible for a lot of our libido and strength and endurance, things like that. So it just really helps, to have those orgasms. And plus, when you have more orgasms, you're happier. And it's said that if you take it from one orgasm a month to one orgasm a week, it increases your ability to earn money by like 5%. And then also, you're just so much happier when you have more orgasms.
So you're telling me if I have girlfriends that have broke boyfriends that they just need to orgasm more?
Mhm.
Come on, Tiffany. Seriously? How long have you been doing this?
Almost 10 years.
Really? Now, how long do you usually work with your clients? And what all services do you provide for a particular client? Do you just teach them things? Do you teach them things physically, or are you just educating individuals? Walk me through that.
So a little bit of both. I started with personal pleasure products or sexual wellness products
Okay.
because that was a big part of my journey as a woman of finding out about my body and learning how to orgasm, because I always thought something was wrong with me, that I wasn't having an orgasm. And that's when I really learned that 80% of women don't orgasm during intercourse alone. And so toys became a big part of my life. And it was something that was really personal to me. And I just thought that, there's not really anywhere that was for me comfortable to shop. And so I created a company where we could go into do high-end home parties and teach women about their bodies, about products, how to use those. And it's evolved into coaching, and my workshops have now turned into online courses. So typically I will work with individuals and couples a minimum of 3 to 4 months, up to about a year. And but then I have online workshops and courses that are shorter in length as well.
So I can see how working with one person, intimately, how that could be effective. What about the couples work? Tell me a little bit more about that because, for someone that might be considering if they need you, what who is that ideal couple to give you a call and say, we're going to welcome you into our personal and intimate space with information that we've never shared with anyone?
Right. So the majority of my clients are in some type of sexless marriage, which sexless marriage is defined as less than once a month of having sex. And so they've lost that. Most of my clients are postpart or postmenopausal, menopausal age, and they just, you get busy with life and they get off track and they stop having sex, and then they don't know how to get back to that point. Stress in life, whether it's painful sex because of menopause or chemical imbalances and hormonal imbalances, take a big toll on our life. And especially during this time where we're in kind of crisis mode in quarantine and coming out of quarantine, a lot of people have lost their personal space. And so being able to help them just look at things in a new way and know that whatever you're going through, I've heard probably already. I've worked with thousands of individuals and couples over the last 10 years in picking the perfect product for them, and in coaching and in course having them go through my live and online courses.
Now, when you're talking about couples, are you finding that it's one person or the other that is really bringing upon the issue, the blockage, or is it usually a combination of both? And then how do you go about diagnosing that?
So it's usually one person will come to me fed up, um, and say, I want this to change. I love my partner. I don't want to get a divorce, but this is not, it can't continue the way that it is. And so working with them, I usually, like, for example, do 3 sessions a month. And so usually I'll do one with the one person, one with the other partner, and then one together.
Mm-hmm.
And it's never just one thing, it's always a combination. And usually most of my couples have been married over 20 years that I've worked with.
Oh,
And
wow.
so they have lots of built up, pent up grudges and things that have happened over the years. And it's all those little things that are just irritations that then if you let them fester and you don't talk about them, they build up and build up and build up.
So you're a sexanista, but you wind up doing therapy almost.
I'm a coach, so I the difference really in coaching and therapy is that coaching moves you forward into what you want to do in the next part of your life and gives you life skills to do those things, where therapy really examines and delves into the past and what happened. I
Mhm.
want to know what's happened in the past, but I really want to give my clients practical steps that they can take so that they can move forward in their relationships.
And is it fair to ask, if you're comfortable sharing, what's your success rate with couples? Because I think that's important at a time where people are having a tough time having difficult conversations. And when it comes to sex and intimacy, those are some of the most uh, difficult and complex conversations. So, what has your success rate been dealing with couples? And I'm sure that communication portion of it is huge.
It is teaching communication is pretty much what I'm teaching in coaching is, and I would say 99% of my couples have really
Oh,
great,
bye. I'm sending everybody to you.
you know, sometimes it's short term and sometimes it's longer term, and I'm always going to advocate for my clients. If it's better for them to not be together, I'm going to be honest with them. And I'm a very frank and upfront person. And I've told clients before, if this is not the relationship you need to be in, I'm going to make sure that you can go forward and still be successful in your life. I have one couple that I worked with probably 3 or 4 years ago,
Mhm.
and he was a narcissist,
Mm,
and they got to where they wanted in their relationship and they were succeeding and thriving. But through
mhm.
this quarantine, they are probably going to go separate ways, just because just their thought process and their belief systems are so different. One thinks that COVID is a hoax and all this, and the other one, and there's some abuse issues going on also. So I want to protect the client and her children.
Yep.
Uh,
So that was going to be my next question, actually, is how often do you, in working with couples, find that there is some level of abuse or dysfunction that's just unhealthy?
Probably 1 out of 5, there's some kind of emotional abuse that has happened in the past, and whether they can work through that and get further along in their life, or it's just best to separate.
Mhm.
I have one client that was a young lady, and her fiance just was not in, didn't buy into coaching, didn't want her to work with me. And she ended up leaving him, and it was a much better. She's moved home back to the Midwest, and she's just so much happier. And it's so great to see her thrive. But she still will tell you that, like, the things that she learned working with me, that she can use in every relationship in her life.
Wow. Well, it's a blessing to have someone that can support you through something like that, separating from something that's so destructive or dysfunctional that, yeah, I could see where your sex life would be hurting a little bit. I can see how this isn't working well for an orgasm. Like, yeah, we need to go a different way and find someone else to stimulate those lady parts. So, do you get more men or women clients?
It's about half and half.
Really?
Yeah. Um, Typically, I mean, I love working with men because they like they understand coaching, and they're like, just tell me what to do, and they move really fast. You give them a list of things to do
They
and
move
they're
really
going to do it.
fast. Got it. They move really fast.
But
Okay.
they take the, like, women, as women, we put ourselves last so often that we a lot of times I found my students and clients have a hard time even saying yes to taking the time to do the work,
Okay.
where, I have a 12-week online course, and I found really early on that a lot of women wouldn't even watch the videos every week.
Really?
And so then, if you can't improve if you don't do the work. And we'll put everybody in front of our kids and our families and our careers, but we don't take that time for self-care for us. Where men are like, sex, yep, it's going to get me more sex, great, I'm going to do it.
I mean, you would think that women that have not, how do I say this, successfully had regular orgasms would find some level of urgency in that, no?
I find that so many women will say, just even online forums and chat groups and Facebook groups, is that, oh, 50% of women, they say that they don't care if they ever have sex again. And that is because they're not having the right kind of sex.
I can't even imagine,
And
ma'am.
so if you think about, if you haven't had an orgasm for a long time, you start to not even miss it, which I don't understand. But if there's been traumatic experiences with sex, or then that can all come into play as well.
That is true. So then what? Okay, you get a client that says, I want to have sex, I want to have pleasurable sex, but I'm also scared of what that means. What are next steps like? What do you say to that?
I use a combination of modalities, a lot of like meditative and visualization, as well as EFT, emotional freedom technique. It's tapping on the acupressure meridians that
Oh,
help to then acknowledge the trauma or the concern, and then to tap in positive affirmations. And it's very, very powerful in overcoming challenges and traumas. It
I
was developed with soldiers for PTSD.
wow. Okay, so some of these things I haven't even heard of. So there has to be a level of educating for you also. You're not just coaching, you're not just um, teaching, you're actually educating about things that people didn't even know had anything to do with sex
Right.
or physiology and the orgasm. Wow. Okay. I can appreciate that, ma'am. I can appreciate that. So when you are doing those things, the teaching, you're leading them down a path to be more successful, leading them down a path to be happier, leading them down a path to, for the men, be the heads of their household and leaders in their uh, sex life. What is your technique and does it fluctuate? Like, what kind of leader are you when you are leading others to learn how to be a better provider, um, source of pleasure?
I definitely take talk to the client and find out how they like to be coached. So one
Mm-hmm.
of my first questions is, what does a coach look like to you? How do you like to be rewarded or coached and taught? Because if I just were the same with every single person, and I find this happening with a lot of coaches, is they have this methodology that they take every single person through, but it doesn't allow you to actually work with the person to better them, and so that they understand. Men and women, just even that too, working with male clients and female clients, it leading them is completely different, because women a lot of times want to know the why, and men just want to know the how, and just how to get there. Where we have more questions. And for example, if a client isn't open to tapping and the EFT, then that's not going to work for them. And so being able to say, okay, how else can we get to that same point, whether it's journaling or having activities that you take yourself through every week.
Oh, I can definitely appreciate that. So, for people that want to contact you for your services, what's the best way to go about that?
just go to enticeme.com and they can contact me directly. There's, or Tiffany at enticeme.com is my email. Also, social media is always a great place. You can send me private messages on all social media at Entice Me Soirees or Tiffany Yelverton.
So is your inbox full in your DMs?
Not as full as it could be.
I hear you. Now, what does Entice Me have going on in regards to groups or events, and how do people get involved or get invited to those things that you have going on?
We have a great email list. So if they can opt in on my website for sexy tips and all these updates of things. I'm teaching a master class at your own university online on Saturday. I have a upcoming women's retreat that was supposed to be in April, but now it's going to be April of 2021. It's called
Okay.
Insane Sexual Confidence.
Hmm.
It's going to be fabulous. It's in Aruba. So that's fabulous as it is.
What does insane sexual confidence look like, Miss Tiffany?
It's that person that walks into the room and people look even though they don't know why.
Mm.
It's the way that you carry yourself as a woman. I've never felt like I'm the most beautiful woman in the room, but I have a sexual confidence that just attracts people to me. And I'm
It sounds.
probably the heaviest I've ever been, and I have a plethora of really hot lovers. So
I love that. It actually sounds like a learned behavior. It's not a matter of what you actually look like. It's more of a learned behavior. Yes.
yes. So
Hmm.
one of my favorite stories is of Marilyn Monroe when she was walking down Madison Avenue with a colleague, and she had like a scarf on her head, and she was just kind of walking and talking, and nobody was paying attention. And the guy's like, what, how is this happening? Like, you're Marilyn Monroe, where is she's like, you want to see Marilyn? And she pulls her head up, puts her chest, shoulders back, and adjusts her walk a little bit, and then everybody knew it was her.
Hmm. I like that. I like that. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to share some of your expertise with our listeners. I definitely encourage any of you that want to hear more about Miss Tiffany and what she does and how she can help you personally and professionally. That you definitely connect with her. We'll make sure that we have all of her contact information below, and we will keep you updated as she continues to keep us updated on her progress and the cool things that she has going on. We will definitely be sharing that stuff with you, but it is pivotal for those of you that are trying to navigate sexual pleasures and personal pleasures and increasing your wealth. Get in contact with Miss Tiffany. She's good. Like I said, she has a few gems to share. She might leave you speechless too. And I encourage you continue to have those conversations and anything else that will, improve your quality of life and in your pocketbook. So again, Miss Tiffany, I want to thank you so much, and I look forward to keeping in touch. And I absolutely might consider Aruba. I don't know. I think it might be a good.
Yeah, you need to come. I have an underwater boudoir photographer coming with us,
Are you
everything.
kidding me? We
We,
girl, make
it's
sure we
gonna,
get that information. Okay,
yes,
I want to make sure everybody has the opportunity to self-explore and build that confidence.
awesome.
All right. Thank you so
Thank
much. You
you.
guys have a good one.